Hey old soul, just over a year ago I sold everything I owned and moved to the land of Bali with my ex-husband and 3 kids. Now I live my dream life, traveling first class around the world, teaching others how to do the same. If you are ready for a life that is so abundant and free, where money flows like air so effortlessly that you don't even care because you are simply focusing on you and allowing everything to be true, then you are exactly where you need to be. Let me teach you how to be wildly abundant and insanely free. Hello and welcome to the Vibration of Wealth podcast. I am so fucking excited, or should I say forking excited, because I have a very special guest with me today, one of my all-time favorites. I met this woman, I'll have to do the math, but I know it was a very, very, very long time ago. It was actually probably many, many, many ego deaths ago for me and many, many, many ego deaths ago for her. And I'll give you guys a quick rundown later on in the show, but I'm so excited because today we have my very, very, very special friend, Jax Faulkner, with us, an absolute queen, goddess. I'm going to let her introduce herself because she is just a force to be reckoned with. So welcome, Jax. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful because as soon as you asked me to be here with you, I just every part of my being just lit up because I just knew that we were going to go places and we were going to take this conversation to the edges of the cosmos, to the depths of the earth, through spaces and time that are usually untouched. And so, if that can give you a bit of an idea of who I am on the basis of my soul, is that I'm here as a pure presence of a reality of disruption. I am here to stretch edges. I'm here to rebel against, just conformity and anything that keeps us in boxes and in lines. And I guess, like you, my life has truly given me an opportunity to become this, in the unbecoming of who I was and who I thought I was meant to be. And so I really am just I'm a presence, that of which is open to the conversation of expansion and wealth possible for everyone. In the way that we understand it, in the way that we've been journeying it, in a way that has taken us, two women that literally have experienced rock bottom time and time and time again, have had our identities crushed time and time and time again to discover that we are wealth itself. And so this conversation really excites me.
And like what's coming through as you're speaking, first and foremost, fucking love that, because anyone listening notices that she didn't identify with labels or anything like that. It was just the pure energy of the field, which is what we're here to deliver. The codes, the medicine, the ego is always like, get to the point, got to learn the strategy. There's got to be something. And the soul's just like, no, no, no. We're vibrating. We're the field. We are all of it. There is no separation. So the thing I love so much about you, Jax, and when I'm looking back, our paths really have been, every time I see you, it's almost like I'm meeting a different person. Like I think back, the first time I met Jax was actually when I was married back in a past life with my ex-husband, and Jax was working as I don't even know what you call it, like a coffee barista at let me know, let
Yeah.
me know. And Jax's presence, this woman was just serving me at this coffee shop, and I remember you coming to sit down beside me, and you just gave me the time of day, and it was just pure remembrance, like our souls had journeyed many, 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 many times before in different lifetimes. And then fast forward a few years later, I had this office and my staff had invited Jax to come and speak on stage. And I was like, man, this girl looks familiar. And I was like, holy shit, it's the lady that worked at the cafe. And I was like, whoa, what is this? Like a 20-year quantum leap overnight? And just your energy and your presence, and you quantum leaped into this queen. And then I'm sure there were some bits in between, but there was another quantum leap where we were both speaking at an
Mind Body
event in
Spirit
Sydney.
Festival.
Yes. And anybody watching this or listening to this, like imagine a room where there is nobody, there's no one standing, and Jax gets up on stage and everyone's just kind of like walking through a mind, body, spirit festival, minding their own business. This woman gets up on stage and she commands presence, and everyone in this whole festival is just like, zoom, and I'd never seen anything like it. I was like, fuck, this bitch is quantum leaped again. It's just like level. And then recently we caught up in Bali, and it was just so
Mm,
magical because we were just
mm,
both in our peace, in our calm, just remembering that life was never about performance. It was just about being who we are, and that's enough, and that's our medicine. And
mm.
anybody that's listening, my intention for this episode is so that you can just receive the codes of coming back to your true north, to your medicine, to your presence. And wherever this goes, our souls know, our egos don't, but we're just going to let it go and unravel where it needs to go. And the first thing that's coming through is because of this story and this journey, I think our paths really have had to master the life and death cycles. I feel like you are probably the only person I know on a deep core level that has been through as many life and death and rebirth cycles that are this obvious. I see people go through it, quietly, but every time I saw you, you are not the same version. Like it's like a complete, it's almost like knocking a house down to the ground and going zoom. And this and this is mastery. This isn't some amateur stuff. Like we have ancient souls, and it's deep work. So I want to know from the start to the finish, or every life and death, every rebirth you went through, did it get easier? Was it quicker? What did it feel like in your soul? I'd really love to hear that journey for you and what it really felt like, because I don't think it's spoken about enough. And I think it's a big part of the journey for souls that came here to ripple and disrupt time space realities.
Great question. I love this. Thank you. It's funny because when I think back to when I first met you, I always saw this glowing light, and I was so attracted to your field. I was like, whoa, I want to be like her.
Oh,
Just so you know, I really was like, whoa, who is this woman? I want to be like her. And so, you walking in your reality, for everything that you've gone through, you've always been a beam. And for me, you were definitely a beam. And that was probably a good place. That's probably a good place for me to start, because on a few years prior to that, in those moments, I was, when you met me, I was in my mid 30s, and I had just lost everything years prior. I went through the process of bankruptcy. I lost my family. I lost my home. I literally went through everything that we all really don't want to go through. It's terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And especially being in my early 30s when that happened, we have been given this unspoken rule book around success. So therefore, then I thought I was a failure, because if you didn't have your shit together by 30, you're a failure. That was literally the rule book that I carried around with me, that I don't know who gave it to me, but I had it. And I was obedient. I adhered to that for so long. And life is so supportive. Life is so supportive of our mission, and life is so supportive. And it feels hard when you don't realize that life is actually on your side. And so, for me, during that time, during it was hard. It was so hard. It was like, wow, my whole reality is completely gone. I have no money. I have nothing coming in. Going back to a job was one of the hardest things for me to do because I had a restaurant. I was an owner of a restaurant. I was the manager of my own restaurant. And my ego was like, you are embarrassing. You've lost everything. How can you show your face anywhere? I didn't want to be seen anywhere. So it took me a long time to actually even go get a job. And so when you saw me, it was literally on the back end of me going, I need to get a job. I need to have an income. And I had multiple jobs at that time as well. I was juggling 2 other jobs in different cafes. But what I had that I didn't have before was a fresh start. I
Mm.
didn't have the pressures that I had before. And I started to listen to a different directive, and that directive was the unseen. I was introduced to the likes of Abraham Hicks, who at that time was my mentor because it was free on YouTube. And I lapped it up because there was something about what Abraham was sharing that felt true for me, even though I didn't understand it. And so I followed that and I was like, well, what else have I got to lose? And so from there, it really was, I feel like because I went through it, and we always have a choice. We always have a choice to experience hard times and remain as a victim and remain pointing the fingers to everything else's fault and everyone else's fault except for our own, and never actually evolve from that. But I also experienced the pain of doing that because that's all I knew was to blame everyone else. It was the staff's fault that I lost the business. It was the franchise's fault that I lost the business. It was the economy's fault that I lost the business. It was my ex-husband's fault because of our relationship. All of that, it was heavy. And when I decided to own it, when I decided to actually take full responsibility for every aspect of it, I became free. There was a freedom that I didn't realize was available because we're not taught that. We're not taught to take responsibility. And from there, that freedom gave me a blank canvas. And life doesn't get easier. We just get wiser. And my relationship now, from time and time again, I've had multitudes of, you would know, not that long ago, I went through a breakdown of a relationship, a 5.5 year relationship where I discovered that my partner had a wife living with him and I didn't know about it. And I had all of these weird, wild things that kept, and I've had many, but up until now, I'm now in a state, and I'm excited for people who allow themselves to go through this, because this is the juice and the rubies at the end of all of the tough journeys, is that you do get to a point where challenges excite you because you get
Mm.
excited for the version of you that's going to birth. Because challenges are an initiation and an opportunity. And to avoid challenges, we avoid a version of ourselves that we yearn, that we see, that we feel, that we sense. And that's where frustration lies, because we feel and sense there is a version of us that we want to be and a reality that we want to live. But our reality is shaped by the version of us. But we avoid the version of us by avoiding the initiations of the challenges that actually make us. Right. And so it's math. It's just math. So for me, life is math. I'm like, yo, there's a challenge. I don't avoid it. I go all in because I know that those challenges is going to shape and prepare me to hold what I have been calling the universe to give me.
But yeah, it's so profound. And as you were speaking, the thing that came through is just like like math. It is weight training. It's turning up every day to life. Like you lean
Yes.
the fuck in every single day. And yes, we have to be in our feminine energy, but we have to turn up with this lust and this joy to present life and live in life and not avoid life. It really is, you get to this place where you're like, I've been here a million times before. It doesn't hurt anymore. You know, it's like you go to the
Mhm.
gym, your muscles are huge. Like it's not that hard to build the muscle. Building the muscle is the hard part. Going through the first couple
Yep.
of deaths is like, whoa, am I going to get through? And then you get to the point where you're like, oh, I've lost everything before a few times. This is exciting. Like what? Like I've got investments now. I'm not an idiot now. Like, oh, hold
Yes.
on. You have the same energetic signature of that person that had the wife. No, thank you. Like it's just
Yes.
this last. So when at what point did you start feeling like you've got to hang on this thing, or do you still feel like there's different surprises at each level?
There's always a surprise, but it's exciting.
Mm.
It's so exciting. And what I've discovered is that as we start to expand in consciousness, or as our consciousness shifts, now, thing is that we've got to realize is that the most organic and natural evolution of a consciousness is expansion. We cannot
Mm.
actually go backwards, right? There's no such thing. The world, the earth, the universe doesn't operate backwards. It's always moving forward. So consciousness is literally a byproduct. Expanded consciousness is a byproduct of the choices that we make that initiate us into that expansion itself through portal of challenges. That's why challenges exist, right? They stretch us. It's birth. Rebirth means birth. Birth is contraction, is like pain, and then there's life, new life, and it's like, whoa, that euphoria of new life, but you have to go through the contraction, right? You have to. It's inevitable. Nature is nature. Every version of birth requires pain for new life to be born. That is creation in itself. And we're not any separate, right? So as we start to evolve, what I discovered is that years ago, the challenges were denser. Now the challenges are
Mhm.
whispers. Now the challenges are like, I have to be so attuned to this whisper because there's something I'm missing. And it's usually something that
Mm.
is a whisper in my mind that is the block, that is a behavior or a response that I'm so used to doing, but realizing it's that response that is actually redundant to the version of me that I want to, who I want to be. You know, for an example, I was like, I'm sitting here like recently, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm ready for expansion, and I'm working with someone who's really like an artist with nervous system, because our nervous systems are important to work with. We can have all this wealth come in, but if our nervous system doesn't feel safe with that, we will end up back in the same where our nervous system's sitting. That's where I'm at the moment. And so I'm like, cool, I'm ready for my next level of expansion and blah blah blah. Whilst at the same time, I'm saying no to a potential client because they feel too hard. Whilst
Mm.
at the same time, now I'm like, no, I'm like, okay, no, they feel difficult. I don't know if I want to work with them. I don't know, like if I and is it them? No, it's not. It's actually the underlying belief of that. Do I really believe that I can help them from where they're at? Do I really believe that? Now, I was toying with this thinking, okay, no, I'm just going to trust that. Also, I'm asking for expansion, right?
Yeah.
So, hello, the universe is like, this is your initiation. It feels hard, right? And I'm like, no, I'm going to trust where I'm at. But where I'm at is not where I want to be. Yeah, I want expansion. But I'm like, no, I'm going to trust where I'm at. I'm trusting what my feeling. I'm like, hang on for a sec. If I'm trusting that right now, I'm avoiding expansion. So therefore, then even like I was like, oh, I get it now. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna say yes, let's go. I trust
Mm.
myself. I trust myself in this expansion. I trust myself in this challenge, right? Whereas years ago, the challenge would look like a dense fight with a friend, or something like really dramatic and very obvious of a challenge. So obvious because that was my reality. But now, as I've shifted and changed, like my community is amazing. Everything on the outside is incredible. La, 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 la. My expansion is a whisper, and I have to be really listening, and it's like, it just shifts so much. Do you notice that? Do you notice that it's like
It,
it's so big, the challenges are big, and it's like obvious, but now they're like, 'cause it's very like, they're so subtle.
Yes, I mean, I'm literally there right now. I'm like, what's that one thing that I'm not seeing? And I'm like, the thing is, you just need to be still. Like it's like it is it when you get to this level, things don't rock you. Like my nervous system is
Yes.
so calm. My whole life is
Yes.
calm. Like I literally,
Yeah.
like this morning, my team was like, "Can we have a meeting?" I'm like, "But go to the fucking gym and do my ice bath." Like, no, we cannot have a meeting. Like, if it's not in the calendar the day before, it's not happening. Like, don't
Mhm.
like because I value calm nervous system, my body being regulated more than dealing with work on an empty, gas
Yeah.
tank. So it's like now it's like everything shifts and I'm just like, cool, like I know who I am. And because I know
Mhm.
how powerful I am and my identity is so solid, the reality takes time to catch up. There is this
Mhm.
lag period and that's okay. And I think sometimes when we're like, it has to be now, it has to be now. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, yes, your consciousness takes, like, you can shift in 2 seconds, but there is this domino effect in the physical reality. And I think we are working towards the Christ consciousness, or we're turning water into wine. We're like, well, why the fuck am I not there? Like, isn't this meant to be instantaneous shifts? And we do see them with things that we don't have so much resistance or all this
Mhm.
ancestral stuff tied to it. But it's just like,
Mhm.
okay, like you just have to hold the frequency. You're just holding
Mhm.
it, you're holding it.
Yeah.
Then the challenge is just no doubt. Love the doubt and then honor the doubt. It's done. Like it's already done. You don't yell at the waiter at a restaurant because the meal's taking too long.
Yes. It's just trust, right? It's just more
Mm,
trust. And that's what it is. It's these challenges at the end of the day, because our state of neutrality is the most magnetic, right? Our state of neutrality is so magnetic. So therefore, neutrality is a byproduct of trust, trust in self in life. Right.
mm,
And that's where we freak out. As a we can, when we're not aware of that and unaware of like these challenges that happen, it's like when we think about it, it's because we don't trust ourselves and we don't trust life.
mm,
And mistrust causes that chaos of of worry, of fear, of doubt. When we can journey life knowing that every initiation or every challenge or every scary moment, there's a lot of conversations around, our next investment or people investing in themselves. It's like it's you're not it's all this is an initiation into the next level of trust. And how much do you trust yourself? It's got nothing to do with the thing itself. And for
mm,
me, 2 years ago, I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago, I invested a lot into an app. And this app provider or this designer ends up being like a scam. And they actually, that's what they do. And so I invested highly into it. Not, I didn't just invest highly into it. I had a whole launch around it. Like a
I remember
public
I was at that
launch,
party.
yes. Yeah, big launch, big hoo-ha. It was such a big event for something that was like didn't end up happening in the end. But then, I look back on that and I don't regret a thing because I I have no fear of that. Like I have no fear of what anyone thinks of me at all. There's no such thing as failure in my field because I trust so much who I am. I trust the lessons that I am going to learn from, but I also trust myself to go through whatever I have to, and I
Mm,
trust myself at to a degree of like, oh yeah, I can handle that. It's I'm fine. I don't fear anything because I trust myself and I trust life, and so that's what has that's the greatest value. There's no monetary value I can put on this because money is fleeting. Money is fluid, and money is like it just moves, right? And I'm always provided for more and more and more, but that's not what I'm attached to. I'm attached to who I am in spaces. I'm attached
mm,
to like I enjoy just noticing how much I've shifted like you said, in the way that you hold yourself, in the way that you speak, in the way that you think, and that in itself, that can't be taken away. That's true wealth. True wealth is who
mm.
we become, can't be taken away. So therefore then, if I lost everything today for any reason, I have no fear because I know for a fact can do it all over again and better.
This, oh my God, like this, like my whole obsession is wealth, bringing people back to their original wealth template. And this, like, this is the golden piece because your frequency becomes so strong. Every single, the
Yes.
app launch, the death, all this stuff, it's just adding to your frequency, adding to your frequency. And then you remember that it's all you. Like nothing is outside of you. You are the most
Yep.
wealthiest person on the face of the earth. And that's the thing. That's where I'm at that place right now where I'm like, I couldn't care less because I know who I am. It could all
Yep.
go tomorrow. None of it means anything. Nothing in this world is linear. Like none of it. And
Yep.
I've had the same thing
Yep.
before with failed businesses. And I'm like, it was an initiation into this, initiation into this, initiation into this. Like it's all these initiations. And people always see that final piece. Like people would walk into spaces with you now and they would feel your power and feel, every cell in there being ruptured, just being in your presence because you've walked through the fire. And they'll
Mhm.
always think like, oh my gosh, I just want to jump there. It's like, yes, well, it's mastery of leaning in. It's
Yes.
mastery of waking up in the morning when every part of your nervous system doesn't want to get out of bed and you're just like, can't
Mhm.
do this, like because everything's dying. And like, and I'll never forget
Mm.
those days. I like you had a very long start. I felt like it was like 33 years of hell on earth. That's what it really felt like. It was just
Mhm.
the initiations were so dense for a good 33 years. And then after that, it was like, oh, like, and I look back now, like the initiation I'm going through right now, if a past version of me was going through what I'm going through now, I would have had a nervous breakdown and try to kill myself.
Yep.
But because
Yep.
my
Yep.
capacity so expanded, I'm just like,
Yep.
I'm so excited. Like, I'm just like,
Yep.
yes, my
Yes.
husband's coming in. Like, this is happening.
Yes.
I'm about to have this and this. And it's just like because that's what has to happen. You have to feel
Mm.
safe with this next
Yes.
level and the
Yes.
amount of money you desire coming in. Well, your nervous system needs to be safe with that amount of money leaving your field. Like it
Yes.
just, and it doesn't mean you always need bankruptcy or anything like that. But I just think that
Mm.
new gardens, new levels, it's a whole different batch of seeds. You don't go
Yep.
get some old trees and try to like replant them. It's like they're already there. They want to
Yes.
experience a whole new life, a whole new world. That means
Yep.
you letting go of that garden and starting from scratch again. And
Yep.
people don't want to start from scratch again. They're like, and
Yep.
you never really do because the gardener learned how to manage that garden. That
Yep.
garden was a success. You get to move to this garden, but it is a whole different range of plants. It's a whole new different set of
Mhm.
seeds, a whole new different environmental factors. And well,
Yes.
I do believe that we're very conditioned in like the coaching space where we always see the linear growth. It's like, and then I did this,
Yes.
and then I did this, and I'm like, what is
Yes.
happening out here? Like, none of my journey has been linear. It's like let's create all this success, and then I'll burn it to the ground, and then this success, and then burn it to the ground, and it's just it's been this crazy bonfire journey for me the whole time. But it's but I love it. And just like you, like I get
Yeah.
excited to be on the edge. Like I was never meant to do mediocre and I was never meant to do the
Mhm.
mundane. And a life of linear
Mhm.
success would kill me. Like it
Mhm.
feels like conditioning. So what I'm curious about is what, and people thinking about the linear success, but how you got from the woman at square one to the woman that you are today. And I know that there's a whole heap of answers, but what were really like the key factors that really helped you get from here to here? Because it's not an easy journey. I always preach heaven on earth. I think you absolutely can live heaven on earth, but you have to discard so much shit before you get to these higher levels of frequency. So I want to know what you felt like kept you going from there to here and how you kept choosing your path, choosing your mission, choosing your soul contract when it was so much easier not to.
It was never not an option. Like it's never not been an option because I always live by the stage story rule or reverse engineering my future. So I always think at any stage, I always think this is what I'm going to be sharing on stage. So
Mm.
whatever I'm going through, I always think this is what I'm going to be sharing on stage. And however I conduct myself through this is the message that I'm going to share. And so I actually always go through things with that in mind, that I'm always, it's like I've never attached to the thing itself or the experience itself or my identity through it. I always think this is what I'm going to be helping others through. So let's
Mm,
go. It's always been that for me. I've always reverse engineered from like when I look back in my life in 10 years' time, how would I be telling the story of this moment? Am I going to tell the story of like, yeah, I just gave up because it just got too hard? And that's just not an option because I want a hero story. I want a story that my kids keep telling their kids and their kids keep telling their kids that, yeah, your grandma, she went through a similar thing, but you know what she did? That's what I want to be sharing. Like that's what I want my story to be. So that is what has kept me going over and over and over again. I've had like experiences where I've been so humiliated and so embarrassing, and like my childhood wounds would be flared up to the moon and back of like, I just want to run and hide. I want to unfriend everyone. I want to disappear and move to like a colony that doesn't have the internet, for example. Like I've had that run through my mind because I'm so embarrassed. In high school and primary school, I was bullied and I was like a walking embarrassment. So for those traumas to be alive in my body at that time, it's like it's a very hard to choose your next move. And so for me to continue to think about my stage story in those moments, that's what helped me. That's what catalyzed the bold moves, the brave moves, the courage moves, because it always anchored me in goodness. It always anchored me in humanity of like, this is a make or break moment. And what's the story that I want to tell? Every
mm,
time, even through my breakup, and even through my mother passing, and even through like the app even, and just everything that I went through, I always have that in my mind. What's the story I'm going to share from this? Like, how did I choose the my North Star, my highest good for all as well? Just kept going.
mm. There's a few things that are coming through. First, I want to know what you wanted to be when you were a child. Like, what was your dream for when you got older? Did you always envision to be on stage, or was it something else?
You know what? I think so. I always wanted, like, in my heart, I always wanted to be an actress or someone, or like I've always wanted to share. I've always loved sharing. And so back then it wasn't an option. So it was either going to be a nurse, Filipino nurse, or like, just working in coffee. And so
Mm,
that was there, but in my heart, it was more, but I couldn't put words to it because it just wasn't an option for us back then. It just wasn't a conversation back then. The internet definitely didn't exist. I mean, internet's like Facebook started when I was 25 years old, so up until I was
mm,
25, I was just doing what 25-year-olds do. Well, I guess I traveled and I followed that. I ran a lot. I was a runner. Um, but I was also an explorer. So I explored the world and adventured and lived overseas and did all that kind of stuff. And so there, yeah, I still don't even know what I want to be when I grow up.
I love that. I love that. The other thing that came through was, and I have this theory, obviously, it's not one size fits all. I don't believe in that. But I do feel like as old souls, we have our core wounds that we've really got to work on in our lifetimes. And I've got so many I've had to work on, but I'm curious what your core wounds were, or the things that really stuck out to you on this journey. And as you're talking about all of the, public recognition, not failures, but initiations, I always find for old souls, when you're meant to be seen, you're going to undergo the greatest humiliation on stage. If you're meant to teach wealth, you're going to undergo insane financial loss. Like you've really got to zero out your field with fear, lack, and scarcity. And there's always these great initiations for the opposite of what we came here to master. So I'm curious, as people listening in, a lot of people in the self-development space always want to keep doing, but we really have to go inwards to
Mm.
understand ourselves beyond anything and be able to heal these wounds, alchemize them. So I'm curious what your core wounds were that kind of just kept flickering over the years that you've had to keep mastering.
There was definitely one that stands out, and it had everything to do with my mother. It was definitely a core wound around our relationship, my mother, feeling unloved. That was a big one that, from there, it infiltrated in all of my areas of my life, my friendships, my relationships, and just my behaviors. So that was a big one that came up for me when I was 37. And I realized, and what that looked like was that, and I didn't realize the pattern until I realized the pattern, right? And I had friends over who they held a little surprise party for me in my little tiny apartment at the time. And my mentor at the time came and was there as well. And I found myself getting really drunk, really drunk. Like it was like I was annihilated drunk and I was in bed before the party even finished because I was so drunk. And I did that every year. And I was like,
Mm,
the next day, I was like, I can't, what is that? Like, why do I do that? And I didn't realize that's what I do every year. And that's because I had a disconnection, a disconnected experience, like feeling from my mum, because my mum wasn't really in my life, how I wanted her to be. So I made a vow that my birthday next year, I'm going to heal this. I'm going to heal
mm,
this. I have to because this can't exist for me. This is not who I want to be. I don't want to be getting drunk because of that every year, not knowing why, and just keep blaming my mum for it. And so I explored that for a whole year. I dedicated to healing that with her. And that meaning just really allowing myself to see what I wasn't seeing. And because of the work that I had done thus far up until then and the plant medicines I sat with, and it gave me an opportunity to really sit with the awareness around it. And what I realized was that I was blaming her for all of the bad things and not thanking her for the good things. And
mm,
it was then when I was able to explore, because I held so much anger towards her for not being at my wedding. She wasn't at any of my births, and she wasn't there when I was a kid, and this she let this happen and blah 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 all these things. But when I realized it, that when I was little, she used to beat me. She used to beat the crap out of me. And I used to just hold that, and I made myself feel so small and around that. But it's because of that that made me so big.
mm,
And I was like, wow. I realized that her soul and my soul, we made that agreement that she was going to be an awful mom so I could be a great person. And that's what was going to initiate my soul. And I was like, then it just changed every perspective. And I was like, whoa, because if she was a great mom and I was so happy, I would have stayed in that town. I would have done what everyone else did. I would have got married at eight, or I would have had kids at 18, and I would have got married and I'd still be there now and I wouldn't be here. And all of these realizations that then that trailed into like when I was abused when I was 13 and that happened. I was like, well, if that didn't happen, I would have stayed in that town. I wouldn't have wanted to run. I wouldn't have been bullied. Like, and, and I was like, whoa, everything has happened for me because I would not be where I am now, impacting the lives that I am now if I hadn't experienced all of it. Life has always been, yeah, it's match up perfectly. And what I realized then, when I realized that, I was like, instead of holding any, I was like, I really believe like we're capped, like we truly are capped at our potential of love by using the word forgiveness. Because on the other side of forgiveness is still it's to forgive someone is to still have a resonance of something actually being wrong. But I forgive you. But when we can truly transcend that and thank them and be like, "Wow, I don't need to forgive you. I need to thank you. Wow, if it wasn't for you, wouldn't have done this and learned this and become this. Wow." That's that is transcending forgiveness. Transcending forgiveness is love, right? And gratitude. So therefore I had this gratitude for my mom, and I was like, inside me, I was like, well, she needs to know about this. And so my next birthday, a year later, we held a picnic in the park, no wine in sight. All of my friends were there, and we surprised her by being and honoring for her. So everyone shared the changes that in their life because of me, because of her. Because I realized she was away from me a lot because she carried shame and she judged herself. She was a failure of a mother because that's what I was holding. That's what I was believing. So she was like, I don't want to, when we're in shame, we kind of just want to hide from the world. And that's what she was doing because I held her to that. I held her to a version of reality that wasn't our reality. And we healed it. By that day, she realized that she never made a single mistake. She was an amazing mother because of the woman that I became and the lives that I've changed. It was because of her. And that's when our whole lineage healed. And our relationship was like, wow. It bonded so much. And then she died a few years later. So imagine that. Imagine that opportunity being missed.
And you could, I mean, I met your mother at the launch party for the app, and I never would have, like, in that meeting and knowing her, that timeline was void. It was like you had the best childhood. Like there was just no way that that timeline ever existed. And I'm getting goosebumps because, like, everything I do is wealth consciousness. And that is wealth consciousness. Like, that is what I celebrate more than the amount of money that hits people's bank accounts,
Mm,
because the field doesn't even recognize money. I'm grateful for
mhm,
money. I love the
mhm,
resource, but we don't spend all of our lives celebrating the air that we've breathed in. We came here to do this work to transcend and, you know, get beyond all of the distortions in the grid and bring it back to its
mm.
original template. And
Yes.
this is what I was put on this planet to do. And just hearing that, like, that is why old souls like us, and I don't even, old isn't even, it's ancient. It's beyond ancient.
Ancient. I was
It's
gonna say
it's
so
ancient as
ancient.
fuck. Like, we wouldn't be the amount of lifetimes we have transcended in this lifetime. Like, I always joke about it. I'm like, we were up on those alien planets just being like,
Yeah.
fuck, like, okay, I guess I'll go down and do the work. You enjoy your fucking Kool-Aid up here, and I'll
Yeah.
go and just boom, 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 like,
Yeah.
break shit up. And it is like, it takes to heal that, like, that 1 year was what no one in your bloodline could have ever accomplished. And I get goosebumps because that's the work. The things that we have healed, the bloodlines that we chose, and anyone listening in, this is the wealth. This is like the trueness of why we're here, to remember how beautiful this world is when we are brave enough to do that, when we can have the self-awareness to go, hang on, the drinking, that's not really what I came here to do. And I don't regret any of it. I don't regret, like, I love that my soul
Of
was like,
course.
okay, cool, go nuts, have your playground, have all your unconscious sex, like, have your drugs,
Yep.
be wild. And then it's
Yep.
like, okay, now I'm like, even if people had drugs, I couldn't take them. Like, I'm just at this
Yeah.
point where
Yeah.
your frequency is so clean. You're like, man, even if I wanted to have that unconscious sex, I couldn't have it because I'm so fucking high vibe. Like, this frequency won't let me go down a level. Like, it's,
Yeah.
you become, but that's the journey, and the arrow can't go forward to the depths in which it hasn't gone inward. And
Mm.
I don't know if you possess this belief as well, but I really think our trajectories are so huge because we've had to go so far into the darkness, and it was like walking
Totally.
into the nooks and the crannies without a torch, and it was just like, good luck, there's no
Yep.
key to get out.
Yep.
If you find
Yep.
it out of the maze, good fucking luck. No,
Trust
everyone's
yourself.
tried before you. Everyone's tried before you. No one's made it, but hopefully you'll get there. And
Yep.
it really is to see, and, like, you are just this light. You're absolutely glowing. You don't, like, you've reversed your aging tenfold. Aging doesn't really, exist for old souls, ancient souls, but it's But when you were reversing, because those timelines are no longer in existence. Sometimes I don't even like talking about my past because I'm like, that didn't actually happen on this timeline. But just so that your human
Yep.
mind can kind of picture it, I'll give you a little
Yep.
bit of a breakdown as to what I've walked through. But it doesn't, on this timeline, perfect parents. They were fantastic. Like,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
mm. And so what are you most proud of like today? I feel like I'm going to know the answer, but what is like your greatest accomplishment, your greatest feeling, your greatest joy of being alive today?
Mhm. Bravery.
Mm,
Bravery. Bravery is such a, like, it's such a potent word for me right now, because it feels like there's so much bravery required in in the silence that we face off with. The world, the outside world doesn't, I'm not afraid of anything in the outside world anymore. Like, it just is what it is. I'm like, sweet, I trust myself, you know? Uh, but bravery in the inside, on the inside world. So one of the things that I'm moving through, and really, like, it's just been such a big thing for me of these last few years, which is, when will I really accept my power? When will I really accept my power? And
mm,
my power is not, it's a source of delusion. It's a source of unexisting or non-existing creation.
mm,
It's it's a it's like the daringness to challenge the status quo, but really challenge it, because I have been dipping in vanilla. I'm like, I've been vanilla. But like you said earlier, I have also, in my power, many, many, many lifetimes, been murdered
mm,
because of my power. I have been punished. I have been suppressed because of my power. And so that's a wound, an ancestral wound that I have lived with you know, for so long. And so, like, I'm in the timeline right now where it's like, actually, I chose this timeline because we are the safest to be in our power. You know, we
mm.
are the safest to be in our power. And it's great. So, and I'm actually, it's like me catching up to this time. My soul is like really catching up to the fact that, oh, I chose this timeline because it's actually the safest for me to be in my power and the most required.
And it's so fascinating, because something I got when you were just speaking is just like, if your ego or your brain knew how powerful you'd been transcending all of these timelines, like it just couldn't even comprehend like how many blips you've been through in consciousness in this lifetime. It's just like
Mhm.
it's almost like we see our power in a really delusional way, and we think it's got to be a certain way, but it's like you have exercised your power in ways no one else in your bloodline ever has. And it's almost like when you landed here,
100%.
it's just like, like, and the world's not going to see it like that, but that's really what, like, you just walked in,
Mm,
you're like, fuck this, fuck this, fuck this.
mm,
And
yep.
even though the little human self's like, it's scary, but the soul's just been like, come on, keep the fuck up. Like, we're
Yep.
going, get
Yep.
off the fucking
Yep.
couch. I know you need to integrate, but we're charging
Hmm.
through.
Hmm. Yep. Wild. The journey is wild.
It it really, really is. And I can see why your spirit animal is the dragonfly, because it's transformation, and that's what you've mastered. The mastery of being able to go into the cocoon, keep your power, come out with even more power. And I don't think anybody will really understand the power it takes to be seen so publicly the way that you have been seen, and constantly die, rebirth, die, rebirth. And for the old soul, we feel everything so deeply. We can feel when people are hating on us. We can feel the judgment, and we have to keep rising and turning up and exercising that power in ways that no one's ever shown us. And I don't know if you found that, because I look at your journey and I'm like, it's similar in the sense that no one gave us a roadmap, and we just had to keep leaning in, creating things that no one else has ever taught us or shown us. And what I love about your journey is you've done it so beautifully, where I can just see you've stayed so in alignment with your truth, with your soul's contract, with who you need. Like every tattoo, when you felt the call to go and get it. You know, it's not
Yeah.
easy being different when we've been burnt on the stake for being witches in past lives and things like that.
Yeah.
We're carrying these, like, one of my biggest wounds is isolation. And that's been like so many lifetimes where I've committed suicide from it. And it's just like, okay, in this one, I'm like,
Yeah.
I need to get some fucking friends in this lifetime. Like, I'm gonna try, guys.
Oh, this is the lifetime. I'm gonna have friends and many, many friends.
No, they're like, okay, let's change your blue skin. Let's try to make you look somewhat stereotypical. We'll give you blonde hair and green eyes in this life, so you've got a better chance than you did in
Mm.
past lifetimes. Because I saw what I looked like in past lifetimes, and I was like, well, I'm happy with the avatar for this one. At least I got somewhat, recognition. But, but it for you to be you, and I say this with like just so much truth and an open, honest heart, I don't know anyone else like you that has done the journey in a way that you've done it, the way that you've continuously kept leaning in. I see so many people in coaching and spiritual spaces grow in such a linear way. And I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I love the strength and endurance and self-love and conviction and the ability to keep saying yes to your soul when everyone on the outside thinks you're crazy, when everyone's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I know from experience it is not an easy journey to do what you've done, to keep turning up, to keep being the leader that you've been, to keep doing the work that we do. And the work that we do is it's not easy channeling light language when everyone thinks you're crazy, or speaking in
Mhm.
terms of codes and you're just like, well, it's just coming through. I'm just the messenger, guys. Okay. I don't like
I am
that's
the
not
presence.
it's not my fault if you don't speak code. It's just you. It's a you problem, not a me problem. I'm just delivering.
Mm. Yeah.
But I, I,
Yeah.
I really honor the journey that you've been on, the power that has always been within you, but you've just been discarding, discarding, discarding. If there is a piece of advice you could give to an old soul on this journey that really does have to, or chose to come through and have a life similar to us, where we are really leaning into the death and rebirth cycles and really healing those generational traumas, what would that piece of advice be? And I think a better question would be, what advice would you give to the version of you that was starting out on this journey, that was going to go through everything that you've been through?
Mm. Honestly, in this timeline, it'd be very different to what I would share with my previous self. My advice is to honor your silence, honor your time with yourself. Right now, in this timeline, distraction is huge. It's purposeful. It's on purpose to distract you. And our sovereignty in our silence is the most powerful form of like honor and 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 being on path, because it's in the whispers and it's in the silence right now. It's so important for us to listen to that. There's a lot of noise, and so the more that we can honor our time in silence, and the more that we can honor ourselves in it's this is when we can truly remember who we are. But right now, if we're stuck in the scroll holes in looking and seeking and finding, we'll never remember. That's my
Mm.
advice to anyone in this timeline right now, because 6 years ago, it wasn't as distorted and as busy as it is now. So it's like our antennas really have to be protected and honored as well. Honor is something that we it is the code that lives within us that needs to be like, shared more of. And so, seek honor, don't seek success.
Mm.
Seek honor. Don't seek the society's version of success. You want to be different? Remember your honor. Remember your sacredness. Remember your sovereignty, because it's in that is the voice that will change the world.
Mm. And for anybody that's listening that needs the tangible piece, what daily practices or rituals are you currently doing, or do you find work from past versions that people can use to anchor in, devotion and all of this? Because it is in the rituals, it is in who we're being in every moment.
Yeah. So I find it very important to our relationship with our body is very important. Our body is an instrument, and like any other instrument, it needs tuning. Like a guitar needs tuning, or the string is broken, you need to fix it to tune it. Our bodies are an instrument that holds energy, aligned energy, unaligned energy. And so even with the work that you do as well, Eva, it's this kind of our this clearing is and the maintenance of the energy that moves through us is a responsibility. It's not a luxury. It's a responsibility for us to remain in tune. And so I feel like, daily exercises of just tuning into that and being really honest with these feelings in our body and moving them as a responsibility is really important. So, whether it's breath or somatics, or, the Kundalini um, practices that you have as well, Eva, and then silence. And then after the clearing, silence. Just be in the silence. I cannot stress that enough, because that's where the answers are.
Mm. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. It's so important. It's so profound. It's like it's the only thing I care about these days, like my body. Like it's just silent, cacao, like not moving, not being on my phone, just being
Yeah.
still and slow. And
Yes.
the gift of divorce has given me back a week with no children. So it's like
Yep.
you have all this space, sitting in the sauna, detoxing, dry brushing, like just
Hmm.
everything to keep your energy clean. And yeah, so profound, so profound.
There's a lot of bypassing in the industry, and the love and light and the spiritual and the be happy. It's all bullshit. Be gritty. That's what I say. Be gritty. It's not love and light. It's grit and grace. Be graceful in your grittiness. It's gritty work. Our work here is gritty. It's not love and light. It's not ascension. It's like fucking descension. Be gritty, because the ascension is the byproduct of the courage to descend to the spaces that we avoid.
Mm.
Be brave. Be courageous. Get
Love
gritty.
this. It is, it's such deep work, and every level is this whole new place and this whole new energy. And one of the last initiations I went through with plant medicine initiated me into like the heaven on earth, into this energy where the devil would come in and try to trick me and be like, it is hard, it is hard. And I'd have to be holding this frequency of, we're in the heaven on earth. It is fucking beautiful. It is clean. There's no distortion. But if you're trying to get from level one to this level, it doesn't work. You can't bypass. Like you gotta fucking like be on
No.
the floor howling and screaming and letting it out. And it's interesting because I'm sure you've done a lot of these in your life, and things that we're not talking about. I get so many compliments on my voice. People are like, your voice is so soothing. And I'm like, yes, it's a new voice. It's been activated. Like this
Yeah.
is a year of screaming on a mat
Yeah.
and just like as it comes online. And then
Yeah.
you wake up and you're like, oh, I can feel the vibration. Like it's different. And I don't know if you've had that with parts of your body and you're just like, oh, it's a new heart. Like it's so crazy the work that we do. But
Yeah.
we don't talk about it enough. It's just like, "Oh, look at the money I've made this month." It's like, no, like the shit that we're doing behind the scenes, you can't
Yeah.
get that shit from listening to a podcast. You have to go to one of your retreats or sign up to a program with me. Like, you have to come because they're not programs, they're not fucking courses. They're portals
Mhm.
into
Yes.
new timelines. They're
Mhm.
initiations into the codes that we have, into what we were chosen to help people with. And
Mhm.
it is so it's so interesting. I've really gone deep with it lately because I think about, like, there's teachers like Ed Milet who teach like, just do one more, just do one more. And it was triggering me because I was like, well, it's not always about like bypassing and hustling because I teach more the being than the doing. But then I'm like, but for some people, they do just need to do the one more because they're not even getting out of their way. Like, it's just
Yeah.
every piece of medicine just has so many different sides and so many different facets. And there's just so many pieces to this consciousness that you couldn't even fathom. And I think really it's just like, when you feel the call you're remembering, just fucking do it. The ego will
Yeah.
try to come up with every reason not to do it, but you wouldn't be
Just do
called
it.
to that teacher. You wouldn't be called to that
Yep.
space. You wouldn't be, just read the
Yep.
fucking book, jump on the
Yep.
fucking plane, hook up with
Yes.
that red flag
Yep.
guy because you're not going to learn the lesson
Yes.
unless you jump in to that fucking
Yes.
thing. And I look back and I'm like, even if that client completely fucked you up, you were meant to go through it. Like, you can't avoid it.
Yes.
Like,
I
you're
agree.
meant to see it. And that's what you were talking about, the grit and the
That's the
grace.
grit. Yes. Yes. And that is like 100% agree. Like our intuition is guiding us to our initiation. That's it. And I love that, the red flag guy. Yes.
Yes, red.
I have learned who I am because of all the red flag guys, like it's like I found my golden flag husband because of all the red flag guys. It's just like I love it.
And quickly, I'm mindful of time, but I want to know what shifted in you. And this is like a personal question for me because obviously I've been through, relationships was one of my biggest things. And obviously with your mother wound, you had to do so much healing on it to attract your beautiful husband. And my lovely red flag guy a year ago was the initiation to celibacy, which was never something that I
Mhm.
that I declared. I just became celibate,
Yes.
because I
Yes.
couldn't lower my standards. And it just became this
Yes.
thing of like, I'm not going to lower my standards. And so I know my person is very close, but I'm curious to know what in you shifted before you manifested your husband, how your life has changed being on the timeline of love and having that masculine support. I know you've gone through initiations in your relationship, but I'm just curious to know how that's changed you because you have been a lone wolf for so many years. You did have to really come with power and to be able to be the woman that can soften. If you could just share a little bit of that.
Yeah. So for me, I feel like you were there with me when I made the shift that attracted him. You were in we were, like, we just met. I know we caught up before you moved to Bali.
Mm,
And what shifted for me was a real clarity and just a real knowing of, I guess, who I wanted to be as a wife. So therefore, then I chose behavior as a wife. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to be the version of wife that I'm going to be, even if when I'm on a date. I'm just going to skip all of the fluffy part and skip all the not knowing and just be knowing because I'm ready to meet my husband. And lo and behold, I think I was just very fortunate. He just ends up being in the arena in the same city, and like he was looking for the qualities that I had, and he was looking for a powerful woman. He had been on his own journey of his red flags of women who weren't in their power. They didn't, they just didn't know who they were, or they were insecure and all of that. And so he met someone who was like in her power. She just knew who she was. She knew what she wanted. She was building her own empire. And he was like, whoa, what is going on here? Does this exist? So I think we just both got very lucky. Um, and being with him has just been so profound, to be with someone who not only his growth has been exponential, like he's really just just exploded in his life, in his business, and who he is. We've still got so much growing to go, but it's amazing. That's a lifetime to do together. But he supports my power, and he recognizes when I'm not
Mm,
in it. And he says, "Babe, what are you doing? That's not your path. That is not your power. You've got to choose your power." So he's just like, the more delusional I am and the more audacious I am and the more weird I am, he loves it. He's like, "Yeah, babe, more, more." And
mm,
I support him in his desire to be provider, desire to be protector. His desire softens me because I can now say, for the first time in my adulthood, as a woman who has, like you said, I've built my own empire, I've done this, I'm an independent. When he asked me the question, "What is your vision? What would you love?" I say to him, "I would love for you to provide everything. I don't
mm,
want to provide anything. I want to create, and I want to create, and I want to do what I'm doing, but I don't want it have any link to providing for the household. I want you to do that." And he's like, "All right,
mm.
done." And so it's just like, I just couldn't believe those words came out of my mouth, but that's my desire now. Like, I wanna be able to just do what I'm doing without it having to be towards rent or towards the household bills or towards anything to do with household. You can pay for everything. You can build an empire so large that it just takes care of everything. That's what I want for you, and that's what I want for me. And so
Mm.
it's like, yeah, shifted a lot.
I'm just like, women should just be creating pleasure money. Like, we don't want to be hustling.
Yes, that's I
That's
wanna be
nothing like
pleasure
it's
money,
so
like, whatever
gross.
I bring in. Exactly, whatever I bring in is for our household, but not for the survival. It's for the pleasure, it's for the growth, it's for the holidays, it's for all the things, and it's just there for fun, but because it's a byproduct of my creativity, but it's not something I need to do to survive. That makes sense. So that's just been a big shift for both of us. And he's made big moves in his life. He's working with like mentors in his field, and he's growing his business in ways that is like, he's ready for that. And I'm like, good, I'm waiting.
Has
I'm
being
here.
has being in this divine union just been like the best thing ever? Like, have you felt like you just has it felt like lifetimes of hard work have just paid off because you're finally being
Oh,
seen?
absolutely. He's my best friend. We're just it's so our life together is so inevitable, and it just feels really great to have a partner in purpose that is in a very different field but on the same course.
Mm. I love that for you. I love that for you so much. So what's next for you? Not that like let's face it, we don't really plan, we just channel, but what is really coming up? I know you do actually have quite a lot coming up for you going to the UK. So talk us a little bit about those retreats coming up.
Well, yes. So I'm going to Dubai in the UK. The UK, I've got a 1 day event over there, and so essentially, Awaken is my boss, I should say. Awaken is a spirit that I work with, an entity I work with, and she is a portal. She's a transformative space portal. She's an initiator. She's an ignition for the remembrance of custodianship. And yeah, I just go where she wants me to go. So right now, I have a retreat. We've just hosted a retreat in May. It was just wow. Wow. Our next retreat in October is literally nearly full, which is again, wow, because I'm just she's just a magnet, and I have no systems that is normal to anyone. I don't agree with systems. I don't agree with a lot of the things that is in the coaching arena. I'm actually intentionally rebel against that. I don't agree with not showing the price because I'm like, well, I want to attract people who that's just whatever it is. I don't want to entertain all of that stuff of like getting on a call with
The
someone and
same.
trying to sell them. I don't want to do that. I don't have time or space. And so it's just been so magnetic, and playing in that again takes a lot of trust, because it takes a lot of bravery and trust to disrupt what I've been taught. And so it's been really profound. And Awaken, it's just for me right now, that's where I'm really being called, is just more retreats. She's just calling me, and more events. And yeah, that's what's happening. And also just really taking my gift into a space of, and my mastery into a space of helping other aspiring retreat leaders or event hosters, and even mature retreat leaders wanting to take their retreats to a unorthodox level, because like you said, I don't believe in the linear level. I don't That's just so boring to me. It's so boring. I want unorthodox. It's like, let's go to the unorthodox level, and let's stretch creativity. Let's create things that don't exist yet.
Oh my God,
And
yes,
that's where it's
preach.
taking me.
Yeah, it's all in the crazy, crazy quantum. And anyone listening in, like this is like chill Jax. If you've seen Jax on stage, she is like it's almost like the loudest. And when I
She's
say
awakened.
loudest, I don't mean ears. I mean like it's almost like the frequency explodes the room. Like when you're channeling, it's just like holy
Mm,
shit, like it's nothing I've ever seen before. And so I think anyone that's feeling the call, even if it's a whisper, just book the ticket, go, because you will not be disappointed. Like
mm.
this woman is the pure embodiment of transformation, and I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for whatever happens. I know like the next time that we catch up, like I won't even recognize you again. Like it will just be like so another version, and hopefully well no, I will be married next time we
Yes. Well, I'll be at your wedding. I am expecting an invitation for
Oh my God.
sure. And the
Also,
next
it's
time you see me, I'll
Santorini.
either have, what was that?
It'll be at Santorini. So I've already got
Perfect.
this is the first time I
Perfect.
mapped
I'm in.
the wedding out.
Perfect. I'm in. I've always wanted to go Santorini, and I knew I was going for a wedding. It wasn't going to be my own. So it's going to be yours. And the next time you see me, I'll either have more hair or less. I feel like that we just got to like acknowledge that I either have more hair or less at any given time. It's
And
just,
what you know what I love about seeing you every time? It's because we've shape shifted so much. Like your face changes every time. It's probably the same thing with me. Like we're just looking so
yes,
different through all these quantum leaps because
youthful.
we don't work linear. And I'm so the same. I'm like, tell them the price. Like I don't do funnels. I don't do anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
if you feel it,
Yeah.
you feel it. I'm not even going to
Yeah.
tell you what's in it. You fucking feel the energy.
Yes.
You don't. Like I just
Same.
they're like, but they're like, what? I'm like, you're not the right person for it next. Like, it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it's energy.
Yeah.
We're working with
Yeah.
energy. You remember or you don't
So fun.
remember. There's no selling. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk to you for days, but we've obviously got to get back to our lives. What
Mm.
is just if you could share one piece of advice? I know there's billions, but just one thing that's channeling through right now to just yeah, go out to the listener. What would that be?
Book the ticket. Do what Eva said. Connect with Eva. Do some work. No, honestly, I just feel like I honestly feel like once you finish listening to this, go and sit with yourself. Let it land. And really ask yourself the question. Like ask yourself the question of what am I really like? What is my soul really here for? Like, what am I really here for? Like, what am I here to disrupt? You're not here to conform. So ask big questions. That's what I'm really wanting to land with everyone right now is just like, ask big questions, not the survival questions, not the success questions, not the next client questions. Like they're all distractions. Big
Mm.
questions. What are you here to disrupt?
I love that so much. So we're going to pop all the links to Jax's retreats below, but where's the best place they can come and find you, come stalk you, come say hey?
Yeah, I'm like you, babe. Just go on my Facebook or my Instagram, find me, send me a message. Like, man, I start a funnel and I just roll my eyes at myself because I'm like, this is so boring. I'm gonna release a song just for fun. So that's how you can connect with me. I don't know. There'll be something that comes out. I'll send you a feather or something, that has like a code on it, a QR code on a feather. Let's try that.
I love that. I love that. We'll just get our little doves and just our AI doves.
Yeah. Right. There'll be something, bat signals or something like that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Well,
Mm.
it's an honor as always. Thank you so much for sharing your
Likewise.
brilliance, your magnetism, your truth, your essence. You're just such a vibe, and it's such an honor to know you. So thank you so much for being here, Jax.
Likewise, babe. That was fun. Thank you so much. I
Love,
love
so
you.
welcome. Mwah.